is on my mind at any given time of day, cause I'm a renegade. Never been afraid to talk about anything.
Sports Renegades, now broadcasting from 6 to 8 on Thursday nights. Ryan Risky, Chris Hornig, and now our new permanent third co-host, Ryan Stuprich.
Hello.
Yeah, now it's pretty much now official, I guess, that Tommy's gone. Especially if he shows up for the 8 to 10 slot. Right now, I guess we might as well start talking about the Bears just like we do every week. And, boy, I'm not even sure if I know where to start when describing this game.
At least you get to go to the game.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the game against Green Bay.
Yeah, that was, I mean, is it even a game?
I consider that the lowest point in Bears franchise history, down 42 to nothing to the arch-rival Packers at halftime on Sunday Night Football.
The only positive you take away from Sunday night is that there was a Hawks game going on at the same time that you're able to watch instead.
Yeah.
And when it got to be 14-0 Packers, pretty early on in that game, I knew it was going to be trouble for the rest of that game.
Yeah, well, also down 42 to nothing at halftime, and I was just like, I mean, it was they were played so bad. I actually thought it was actually funny how bad they played. I mean, I feel bad saying that, except it was funny watching the replay of those two Jordy Nelson touchdowns where he's just wide open.
Nobody's even around him. I don't even understand how that's possible.
I mean, that would be like the Packers letting Brandon Marshall run deep down the field and not cover him.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen once. It happened twice.
It did happen twice. It was not good.
I mean, safeties in the NFL are supposed to be able to cover like a corner and tackle like a linebacker, or at least be really good at one of the two. Bears safeties aren't even mediocre at one of those two. Yeah. Bears safeties are just guys that they just go back there and say, don't let the guy run past you and be wide open, and it still happens.
Yeah, it's one of those situations, like you said, you can't get beat deep, and consistently you see it time after time. And early on in the season, I was the one who was still supporting Chris Conte, saying, well, if they get a pass rush, maybe he will become a better safety. And I'm no longer supporting Chris Conte.
I was never a Chris Conte supporter.
I completely agree. I am a fan of the Chris Conte weatherman from Tennessee.
Right.
But the Bears safety, I'm no longer trying to give him a good notch.
No, I mean, it's hard to support anyone on the defense especially, and the offense hasn't been up to snuff, so it's not been good.
I mean, I really don't get how that can happen. Like, the Jaguars and the Raiders wouldn't let Jordy Nelson be wide open in the end zone twice for 73 yards and 40 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just comical, like, that it happened. That's how bad it was. I mean, they were losing by 42 to nothing. It felt like they were losing like 125 to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that made this game even more laughable was the fact that it's coming off a bye week.
Mm-hmm.
You come off a bye week, everyone's anticipated. As a fan, you're ready to see Bears-Packers Sunday night, and you get that game.
And this is also the type of game, like the sense of urgency game for the Bears. Like, they needed to win if they wanted to have any chance of making the playoffs, and then they go and put that kind of performance out. I mean, you had a feeling that when Green Bay, or actually the only cheering I think I did besides the Marshall touchdown was when the Bears stopped Green Bay on like third and goal, and then the announcer's like, all right, now here comes the field goal unit, and then about 2 seconds later, Rodgers stayed on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Then they threw that touchdown pass. I mean, the only good you could make out of that game was the Brandon Marshall, the 8 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown, which was a nice touchdown.
Yeah, I agree with that. But also, I felt like the Packers were trying to run up the score a little bit. I mean, I know that they were up by, so much, but they seemed to, like, run up the score a little bit, like with where they could have, just ran the ball out. They were doing these deep passes. That's part of the reason why Jordy Nelson had those 2 wide open touchdowns too. It's just
and then
it's ridiculous.
The 56-yard screen pass to Eddie Lacy.
Yep. That's how a screen pass is supposed to work out, and it worked out well.
Well, when the Bears tried the screen pass, Cutler threw it off of Kyle Long's helmet, and it was a pick six.
that was another laugh, a moment to just laugh at and kind of chuckle. Yeah. Can you believe this? It was a laughable game. You know that game was going to be a disaster when Chris Williams returned the opening kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
Tried getting it to the 20, and what did he get tackled?
Should've just
got to the 12, and then it got pushed back because of a penalty. You know it's a bad game when your kickoff returner ties an NFL record for kickoff returns in a game.
How many did he have?
10.
Oh,
Did he really have 10 kickoff returns? Oh, my gosh.
He had 2. He set a Bears franchise record with 288 yards, though.
That's pretty exciting.
So 28.8 yards per return?
Yeah.
Hey, that's not too bad. I mean, I guess if you want to take one bright spot away from this.
Yeah, I mean, if there is a
game.
bright spot, it's got to be that.
A 103-yard kickoff return touchdown. It was almost like the Packers were intentionally not blasting it out of the end zone because they knew the Bears couldn't get it to the 20.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, how many games does this team win moving forward?
Oh, I'm going to be very realistic here and say they finish 7-9 or 8-8 so that they get the 20th overall pick in the first round and they try to build their team off of those kind of picks still.
The problem is I don't know if you're going to beat Detroit twice. So those are 2 guaranteed more losses. Plus you have to play Dallas and New Orleans at home. And, the Bears at home, maybe it'll change once it starts to snow and get really cold out, but they don't win at home.
Yeah, the Dallas and the New Orleans games are actually primetime games at Soldier Field.
Yeah, they are. I think, is the Dallas one a Thursday night game?
Yes, okay. The Dallas is the Thursday night. I mean, still, it's the Bears. They live off of those mid to late first-round picks to try to build their team. And really, I was shocked when I saw that the Bears had 32 players on their team that they had either signed as free agents or acquired in a trade, and the Packers only had 5.
Yeah, that's another laughable stat, too.
That really shows you where one franchise is and where the other is. Mm-hmm. Like you said, the Bears continue to go 500 throughout seasons, and they're drafting. I mean, you still can draft talented players, but it'd be nice.
That's how you build a team.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, the thing is, another thing in that game was when the Bears went for it on 4th and goal and Sam Shields dropped a 100-yard pick six.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have easily been 49-0.
And what we were just talking about with the drafting and whatnot, and the Bears drafting at 20th or around that position, think about the Packers. How many times over the past couple seasons have the Packers picked after the Bears and still hit on really good picks?
Yeah, where they got Clinton Dix, where he shouldn't have fallen that far.
And it just goes to show where the scouting and where the general manager is light years ahead of Phil Emery and Mark Trestman as a head coach compared to Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, the thing about Phil Emery that I don't like, it seems like every pick he makes is a reach pick. Like when he drafted Ferguson and Sutton, he could have gotten both of those guys one round later.
We haven't heard of those guys ever since they were drafted.
Or even his first pick of all time, Shea McClellan.
Yeah.
Did anyone even know who that guy was coming out of Boise State?
I don't think so.
He wasn't even a Emery doesn't even draft projected first-round players. I mean, I think Fuller was projected to go late in the first round.
I've often wondered that. Do you think a football general manager reads like Mel Kiper's big board?
No, because Mel Kiper said that the Broncos needed a quarterback.
Well, I'm not talking about Mel Kiper exactly, but Mel Kiper, Todd McShay.
Yeah.
Do you think GMs read that kind of stuff?
I'm sure they glance over it, but I don't think they're going to base their decisions on it.
Follow the mock draft
of
one of them.
The mock drafts probably would have helped the Bears out. I mean, the funny thing is, guess who has the second biggest contract on the Bears to Jay Cutler?
Is it Marshall?
Nope.
It's not Marshall. It should be Marshall.
It's not.
Is it Martellus?
Nope.
It's probably somebody on the defense then.
It is.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, man.
Well, who is it?
Lamar Houston.
Oh, and
I was going to say it has to
gone.
be Jared Allen or Lamar Houston.
Right.
Yeah, Jared Allen and Lamar Houston through 9 games have combined for 2.5 sacks.
Wonderful.
And
one of them
is
was
done for the season.
Well, in Houston, he was really good in Oakland, too.
That's why you don't.
He was a pretty good player.
You don't sign free agents who were drafted by Oakland. I think that's the new rule.
I think he was a defensive captain for
you're right.
For Oakland. Yeah.
630-403-5200 if you want to jump in on the Bears conversation. You can follow us on Twitter at the Sports Renegades or individually. I'm at Hornig94.
I'm at RRisky16.
I'm at Ryan Stuprich.
We'll be right back. We'll be talking more Bears, giving our picks for the week, talking baseball probably in the second hour. First hour always reserved for football. And right now for our anger towards the Bears, you're listening to Sports Renegades on SportstownChicago.com.
6:20 from the SportstownChicago.com studios. We are the Sports Renegades. This cold weather's coming in way too early. I know you're a fan of it.
I'm not complaining.
I know you're a fan of it, Risky, but I hate it. I might have to start my car.
Oh, man, back to that. Yeah, Ryan, every show we had during the winter, during the last break, Chris would always go outside and start his car up and then come back in for the last segment. Then he'd get in his car and it was all nice and warm.
Wow. That's not a bad idea.
No, that was the theme of all the winter shows. Chris did that every show.
I got to do what I got to do. I hate getting into a cold car and just driving it. I feel like I'm abusing it.
Yeah. And then it starts to make and then a lot of times it'll make a weird noise when it's
it
cold
starts
out.
to sputter and whatnot. Come on, just get me home, please.
I mean, you only live 10 minutes away.
Yeah, I do, but sometimes I still worry. I have an older car. I mean, it's not that old.
What year is it?
It's a 2000. No, it's 2000.
Okay.
But it's still in really good shape.
Yeah, mine's a 2005.
Mine's 2004.
Did you finally get your brake lights fixed?
No, but the issue went away, sort of. So I'm just hoping it doesn't come back.
I've never seen brake lights stay on.
Yeah, my brake lights would not turn off, and I was trying to manually turn them off. There's a switch at the top of the thing where you can just turn it on and off, but it wasn't working. But then I finally got it to work, and it's been okay. So we'll have to see.
My check engine light has been off and on for a few months now, but I haven't found a problem necessary to take it in yet. It's been running very well, and I just kind of being a cheapskate and not turning it in yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only problem I've had recently with my car was I think it was called the crankshaft wires were fried and they disintegrated, which that's it was tough to get it to start, and when I did, I'd have trouble to get it to go faster than 25 miles an hour. I'd slam on the gas pedal and it wouldn't go faster.
Mm.
You're in the left lane on the expressway, just pedal to the
Cruising
metal,
along.
going 25.
Then you got Ryan Hoppy drive by and starts honking his horn at you.
That is what he would do.
That is what he did while going 100 miles
Honk
an hour.
the horn, flip you off, and keep driving.
Yeah, while going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
All right, anyways, we were talking about the Bears, and we were talking about the team, and I just don't understand how they go out and sign all these free agents, draft all these young defensive guys, and the defense is worse than last year. How?
Yeah. It's a lot worse, and their defense was horrible last year.
Yeah,
So
it was historically bad last year. I don't get how it's worse.
the only time they had a good defense was against the Falcons, really.
Yeah. Let's see. The defense showed up against the Niners.
Yeah.
Because they picked off Colin turnover guy.
Although
3 times.
they gave up 3 touchdowns in a row to start the game, though, right? It was 21-0 49ers.
I think it was 17-0.
17-0.
And if you look back at that game is probably more of San Francisco losing than Chicago winning it. 'Cause
Right.
like you pointed
All the penalties.
the penalties and the turnovers
Yeah.
from your favorite quarterback.
Yeah,
and then
right.
the
4 turnovers.
and then the game after that against the Jets. I mean, if Kyle Fuller doesn't have those 2 interceptions, the Jets might be able to score on some of those drives, and they could have beaten the Bears too.
Well, don't forget that game. The Bears forced 4 fumbles and didn't recover any of them.
Right.
And then when they were trying to put the game away, John Bostic dropped the ball that was thrown right at him.
Yeah.
And then also, too, remember that the Cutler had the fumble that I forget what son of anarchy, as John Gruden would say, but one of them recovered the fumble and returned it for a touchdown, but it was called back. Do you remember that?
I
Yeah.
do remember that.
One of the
yes.
defensive tackles returned it for a touchdown, and
And it got
that
called
changed.
back.
Yeah, exactly. That changes the complexion of that game too.
Except now that you think about that game, it was a Monday night game, and it was between 2 terrible teams.
Right. Yeah. It was. And obviously it didn't matter whoever won that game because the Jets would have 2 wins now, and the Bears would have
2.
2 wins as well, and they would have been
And that's one of the things that irritated me about Trestman's press conference is going back to those games. It's not like you won those games solid. You didn't win those, and your team looked good.
The only solid game was the Falcons.
Right.
Exactly.
And that was a game we thought they would struggle. Yeah, can't stand listening to Tressman in the press conference. Oh, I didn't have the guys ready, so that's on me. Well, how come more than half of the time you don't have your players ready to play?
And then he says, yeah, I'm gonna go back and look at our practice tape. Mm-hmm. He's gonna look at the practice tape, not game tape.
Everything looked good at practice.